Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all. You join us back for WCCS. You join us for round 6. We're not going to waste much time here. We're about to go trackside with qualifying, and it's going to be a good one. Now, of course, Spa-Francorchamps, iconic piece of the calendar, and it's a great track to have a bit of fight, a bit of challenge on. Say 7.004 kilometers, which is technically above grade 1 standards for FIA, but we have, of course, the great calendar up ahead of us, and I'm joined by Omi in the commentary box. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Sappy. Hello, everyone. Doing absolutely incredibly well. Looking forward to another race. I think Belgium is going to be really, really exciting. So let's see what goes on here.
Let's see how we do. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting one because we're coming up to the halfway point of the season. We've seen some big wins, we've seen some big losses, and curiously, as we come through into this crucial time of the calendar, you can see all the tracks ahead of us. So we got Monaco, we got Qatar, we got Great Britain, we've got France, and we've got Monza and Las Vegas. But tonight, it's sort of that crossover point, and it's where you start to see the championship kind of solidify a little bit. Now, we have got a break week next week. Important to mention, no racing next Saturday. We're taking a break week, and then we'll return on the 20th of April for Monaco. But what do you think of Belgium? What do we make of Spa here?
It's a really, really challenging circuit, and it definitely delivers us with plenty of exciting racing all throughout, especially here in the esports world. In real life, of course, still a very challenging circuit, but the races sometimes can be a little bit more boring. But here in esports, it's always exciting. You always get plenty of racing, plenty of action, plenty of overtaking opportunities. It's really got plenty of everything, hasn't this circuit?
Yeah, it's got plenty of opportunities. It's got plenty of action to be had. And now we're going to jump on board with our cars and with our drivers. So seems like there's a little bit of a technical hiccup. I do apologize for that, folks, on my end. Some of the sounds not quite working as intended, but we are on board with one of the first drivers out on track. You've got Kronk here, and then you've got Shaniak just up ahead.
Yep, so we have Kronk out on the circuit, you've got Shaniak out on the circuit as well. So all of the drivers now will be making their way onto the circuit, getting ready to push on as they, of course, go out on their first out lap, and then they'll get their first run in a very long circuit, of course. So they'll get 3 runs in total, and all of the drivers need to try and make sure that if they are making mistakes on their runs, and invalidating, they're not doing an extra lap around unless they need to, unless they have the fuel to do so, and push on once again with saving the ERS, because it's a long lap, so you don't want to be losing too much time. So if you do invalidate, sometimes, especially in the last few minutes, it may be best to dive it into the pit lane, and then you can put on a new set of soft compound tires and get ready for the final run in the dying minutes.
Yeah, well, remember, we've got 15 minutes and 45 seconds at this point to quali, and given some of the lap times around this circuit, you're going to get at least 4, maybe 5 good runs, depending on how much they stretch it here. But let's see, Shaniak is going to be the first one to cross the line and to fully commit to a lap here, and let's see what he can do. We're going to take it corner by corner. First off, the source. Tight hairpin, iconic part of the circuit. Well, one of the iconic parts of the circuit. You have to really get on the brakes deceptively early to get a good exit out, maximize your speed. Then you can see coming down the hill nearly 200 miles an hour as we go through Eau Rouge and Radion. That complex has seen a fair bit of controversy over its motorsport history, but there's a reason it remains a staple of any racing calendar, an iconic piece of racing history. Now, down the Kemmel Straight, high speed before getting heavy on the brakes to Lacombe here, ending out the first sector and heavy into sector 2 here. Turn 10, it's easy to get a bit too much on the throttle, to power out a bit too early, but he's going to take it very nicely, going to keep it tight to the apex there for Bruxelles. Coming up to Pouon, a little bit of traffic ahead of him, so he's going to have to navigate that a bit carefully, but full commit, almost full commit, does let off at the corner entry, but clean lines throughout.
Yep, clean lines throughout as well for him. So I'm guessing he maybe isn't confident to pull on to actually keep it inside track limit and not run too wide. So definitely could be a good idea, especially with the pace difference we've seen between the drivers. Even just getting a lap time on the board can be really crucial, even if you do lose 1 second than what you can probably do throughout the lap as well. Then so Shaniak makes his way down into the bus stop chicane now as well, so it'll be interesting to see what's his exit looking like, and most of all, when we add all the sectors together, how his lap is looking overall as he sends it over the line. And the lap time for the other 6 drivers to beat is a 1 minute 43.442.
We've got a couple of other cars coming through now. You've got Kronk, who is going to be coming up to the line now. We've seen him put down some good performances, but as it stands, only a 45.6 from him, so he's not quite going to hit that benchmark. You see Johnny's Bananas just a bit further up ahead and struggling a little bit with some of his car control. We've got Sigmando Alonso in the Audi livery for his car there, looking pretty sharp. I do love the chrome. I really did love that show livery when it was revealed and Audi was announced as a partner. It really was quite striking.
Yep, definitely was as well. You have Nathan Richards pushing on this lap right now. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. If you guys remember from last week, absolutely dominated the race, and then right at the end wanted to win it in the pit lane, but crashed into the pit wall.
Well, he's going to have a bit of an easier time this time round because the pit wall, or the pit entry, I should say, is on the outside. But there you go. Got Alonso with a 42.9. Let's see if it can be challenged by Nathan Richards here. He's going to be matte black car, all completely smoked out. Let's see. Final couple of corners here. Bus stop chicane. Very easy to get too early on the throttle, but coming across the line here, 43.2. So he has been pipped by the Audi livery car. Johnny's Bananas is going to be the next one to complete a lap here as Bart Castillo, another new arrival, is joining the field and currently on the outlap.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Bart does get on, and Shaniak has retired there as well.
He was retired out from the session. He's not going to be getting a chance to get put a new time down, which is kind of a shame here because there's certainly going to be a lot more potential and other drivers are already encroaching on his territory. Bananas is going to be just getting 100th of a second slower than Shaniak's time, so he's going to have a tough time retaining any kind of material defense. But let's see. Barto Castillo, new grid arrival. Want to emphasize that. But from what has been discussed about him, shows a bit of promise.
Shows a bit of promise indeed. Him and Nathan Richards have been doing 2-player career mode all throughout and streaming it with that. So in one of the races that I actually watched of those two racing, it was Bart who was coming out on top till I watched. It was a race at Monaco, which we go to next on the calendar as well. But let's see then how Bart gets on here at Spa. So it could be an interesting battle between those two drivers, and then also Goat Alonso joining the party at the front of the field. So we could have a 3-way battle at the front of the field. So maybe the closest race so far this season we could be in for.
Yeah, it could be a potentially bigger fight happening here. Obviously, we've seen some very fast arrival last round, and it seems to be continuing that trend. So this league, remember, say people come and go, say drivers join in, dip out maybe after a couple rounds, or have drop rounds, completely fine, life comes first. But you get an opportunity for some real rising stars to come in here. And regardless of their pedigree or regardless of their experience in league racing elsewhere in the scene, it's an opportunity here to have a little bit of a different experience, to have a bit of a different challenge. We're on board with Del Castillo here, coming out of Puan, looking very sharp, very fast. Johnny's Bananas is going to be the next retiree, curiously. So they are both going to be bowing out of qualifying here. But looking very quick is Del Castillo. He set purple sector 2. He set a pretty fast time at that. So really looks to be on some very good pace as we come up to Blanchimont now.
He is looking really good. So let's see what the overall lap time is going to be then. As now he will go into the bus stop chicane, really looking confident throughout this lap. And now he'll stand on the power. Foot to the floor then. It's going to be a run up to the line for him. And it's going to be a lap that takes him to the front of the field. And it's 1 minute 42.547. Great lap time by Bart and Nathan and Goat Lonzo do definitely have quite a bit to do if they want to get near him, but great to see the field still pretty close together. We're about to see what Rare Ghost is going to be able to do as well. He's currently on an out lap, the only driver to not have a lap time on the board, so it'll be interesting to see where he slots in right now as well.
Yeah, he's going to have to get a wiggle on because there's only 9 minutes left in quali. And while that does sound like a long time, it's very easy to get caught up. And unfortunately, it's all too often we see drivers just not get a full chance to get that optimal time they're so desperately craving. We're on board now with Kronk, who's going to be the next one to set a lap here at Spa. Let's see what kind of pace he can put down. He has shown in qualifying's past that even if he has a bit of a rougher or a bit of a slower start, he's very capable of bringing that time back and very capable of putting some real fast laps down. Experienced sim racer in other fields. Let's see what he can do here.
Yep, let's see what he can do. Indeed, it's going to be definitely quite an interesting lap for him. He needs to try and get it right because, as you mentioned, time is running out. A very long circuit, this, of course, so it does take a lot of time to get back in. And then, of course, you want to be in sync with all of the other drivers. You want to get a last run in as well when the track is at its best. So all of the drivers definitely do have to consider that, especially with how they go out.
Yep, and now it's going to be a little bit of a rush to get in, as things are looking a little bit cloudy and overcast, which I think is going to introduce a unique challenge. I don't think we've actually seen, or certainly I haven't seen, a rainy race in this league yet. So I wonder how well the drivers are going to be able to cope and adapt if it does go that way.
Yeah, definitely. It will be interesting to see how the drivers will adapt to the conditions. Definitely will add another curveball into things for the drivers. So clouds starting to make an appearance, and that definitely could mean that if the rain is to come in the final few minutes, this could be the best right now off the circuit for the drivers to try and improve, and these could be the last few minutes that we see improvements and we set the grid of Rare Ghost fighting the car then as he currently makes his way through Malmedy now into Brussels, of course, as well. So Rare Ghost pushing on, looking for a good lap. He's got under 7 minutes to go on the clock. He's running out of time. He needs to get a lap time on the board.
Yeah, well, big slip from Rare Ghost, or Real Kronk, I should say, as he comes across the line. He is going to improve by a second, but not enough to make a position. He unfortunately lost a lot of time in that final sector, which did cost him very dearly. Now, the track temps are still fairly high, but they're only 26 degrees. Now, compare that with something like Azerbaijan, or even just Spa when it's fully sunny, and you should be expecting track surface temps of 30 degrees Celsius plus, which is going to play a little bit of havoc with getting some heat into your tyres, keeping them in the operating window that you want them. And while the core temps are looking good on Rare Ghost's car, it's looking like the surface temps are dropping a little bit too cold to extract the maximum grip. Maybe there's a setup issue there, but let's see what kind of pace he gets across the line now. 43.314, so he's going to leapfrog Shaniac and Johnny's Bananas, both retired from the session, but both putting down some pretty good times in their own right. Fortunately, Rare Ghost is going to still be in the session, and he's going to be the one with the chance to leapfrog, though not without a challenge. Nathan Richards is going to be coming up to the line now. He's 6/10 up from Sector 2. Is he going to carry that advantage? Let's see. Bus stop chicane goes heavy onto the apexes, heavy onto the curbs, getting on the throttle as quickly as possible, short shifting a bit, and he's going to pip the whole time by just under a tenth. Excellent stuff.
Great stuff by Nathan Richards. To the front of the field he goes. Cloud still continuing to come onto the circuit, so that could definitely still be a factor, but that is a great lap time delivered there, and it'll be interesting to see if Bart is able to respond to that when he comes out onto the circuit. But we'll still have to see with the rain, because now it's fully getting cloudy, so the rain can start falling. We'll first of all see any drops if the rain is going to come, so it can start falling at any point during this session. So the order currently is Nathan Richard, then you have Bart, then you have Goat Lonzo, and then you have Rare Ghost into in P4. They're all starting to now make their way out as well. Kronk's just gone into the pit lane. He's in 7th. You have Shaniac and Johnny's Bananas, who are in 5th and 6th right now at the moment, but they have retired for the session, so they won't be able to improve their time at all. It will be Knights who could possibly try. If he can find an improvement, he could possibly try put them at risk and demote them a position.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder. The other lingering question is, are they actually going to go out for another run? Now, they could settle here, but it's also going to be a little bit difficult to adjust. I wonder if the setups are, or at least the race conditions are known to the drivers, because that's going to affect how they approach qualifying. We could very easily say that, yes, Del Castillo is just under a 10th behind Nathan Richards, but is he running a bit more of a wet-oriented setup? So maybe not extracting the peak pace here while it's overcast, but if it's set to go wet in the race, is he setting up for that opportunity, or is he playing a bit more of a middle ground? Having looming weather like this really throws a spanner into any kind of strategic predictions that you can make for the race. But we have got 4 minutes left, and it looks like 2 drivers are making a definitive attempt to improve their times. Bart Del Castillo and Real Kronk. Doesn't look like Alonso is going to be having another run, although we still have time to find out.
We still do have time to find out as well, but Bart Del Castillo is going to be looking for a lap that can try get him back to the front of the field. As you mentioned, he just has under 10 to find, so it shouldn't be so it's definitely doable for him, but it does depend. If the rain does start to fall, that could definitely have a major impact. So cannot wait to see how this session is going to end and whether we are going to get Bart being able to take pole away. What about Goat Alonso? He could also be in the mix as well. So this is going to be wide open stuff, as now we have under 3 minutes to go in this session.
Yeah, under 3 minutes to go. That crucible of the qualifying session is about to get much hotter, as you've got everyone jumping out from the pit lane now. Everyone is going to go for a run and try and improve their times. Goat Lonzo, who we were saying isn't coming out, is now out on track trying to get round before the checkered flag falls. Rare Ghost is the same. Real Kronk is going to be coming up to the line fairly soon. He's just coming up to Blanchimont now, so he's going to be prepping for his lap. We've got Bart Del Castillo along with Nathan Richards. He's going to go out for a last-minute run. He's just going to make it over the line at this rate. Let's see what the black and yellow car Castillo can do to leapfrog his primary opponent here. So I know these two have a bit of an established rivalry.
Yeah, they do as well, but he's down in the first sector, so he's got to try and make up for it in the second and third part of the lap. In the third sector, of course, you've got the big back straight into Blanchimont, and of course the bus stop chicane. So he's got to find a lot of time. How brave does he go into Puron corner? You can see sends the car in, throws it in, keeps it inside track limits, and that is very well done by Bart Del Castillo there. So let's see in the second sector, has he been able to find an improvement? He was down by over 1.5 of a second, and it seems like he's backed out of it. Now it looks like he might charge up the ERS. He knows that he's down, so he might charge up the ERS. He would have seen his delta, and he might now go for another lap as Goat Alonso won't find an improvement. He has retired. So in the pit lane there. So it's going to be now very interesting to see whether Bart on his now second push lap, he's going to back off, save the ERS. He's got over a minute, so he's just going to push on once again, try that again, and hopefully he's got the heat into the tyres and also can find an improvement through the first sector and just have a better start to the lap, which can try and leapfrog Nathan Richards.
Yeah, well, Zig, you've got a couple of other drivers who are also on a run. Del Castillo might have backed out as well to see if he can get a bit of a lighter run, burning some extra fuel to reduce the curb weight of his car and ultimately improve his lap times. The strategy is really coming out. The micro strategy and all that sort of stuff is coming through here. We're on board with Kronk right now, but unfortunately, he's not seen the kind of improvement he was looking for here, so I don't think he's going to be walking away with a substantially better time. And you're going to see him, unfortunately, I think he's going to be one of the drivers who tried his best to get an improvement, but isn't quite making it there. Let's check in on him coming across the final corner, and there you go. He's going to retire into the pit lane. He's conceded, I think, that he's not getting that improvement he desired, and he is sadly going to be bottom of the field as the checkered flag now falls. 4 times confirmed, so now 3 drivers remain with opportunities to set better times. You've got Rare Ghost, you've got Del Castillo, and you've got Nathan Richards.
Del Castillo battling with the car there on the exits. He made his way through Malmedy. Rare Ghost up by 200ths of a second. But Del Castillo it was up as well, but he did have a big slide. So let's see if that's hindered him, and we'll find out at the end of the second sector. All the while, you're also going to be seeing Nathan Richards push on as well.
We're on board with Red Ghost here as he's going to be the next one to cross the line and see what kind of time savings he's made throughout the course of his lap. Now, a lot rides on this, and remember, a few tenths could put him into the top 3 and give him a really good start here in the session. Coming up to the line, looking on good pace, but it's going to be an improvement, though not enough for a position. He remains P4. But with a 43.1, that is a time improvement, and that does bode well. Unfortunately, Del Castillo has invalidated, so he is not going to be getting an improvement. And all eyes lay on Nathan Richards, currently pole sitter, but has a chance to improve even further here as he comes through into Blanchimont. Final couple of corners here. Let's see what he can do. Can he put down a better time on the board? Heavy brakes into the bus stop chicane. Nothing holding him back here. He's going to go full tilt in through start finish line, and it is going to be an improvement. It's going to be a 0.2 for him here, so another couple of tenths knocked off, and that is qualifying done.
Incredible qualifying session there. So by 0.3 of a second, you have Nathan Richards at the front of the field. Del Castillo's lap time would have improved there by 2 tenths had it not been invalidated, so he could have been just a tenth back, but it's going to be an interesting race between those two drivers, so keep an eye on that. The margins will be even closer. So Goat Alonso in third, Red Ghost in fourth, and then Chaniac and Johnny's Bananas, who retired, only got 1 run in. That was good enough for fourth and fifth, and unfortunately didn't go Kronk's way, so he wasn't able to take advantage with a retirement for fifth and sixth. So he's going to have to do it in the race. He's going to have to try and fight his way through, but this is going to be a really interesting race. Could it rain? That could definitely be a possibility. We've already talked about that element as well of all the drivers with their setups, that they could be going for a bit of a wet setup, so it could be interesting to see, and we're about to get answers on what the weather's going to do.
Yeah, we're about to get those crucial answers here, and I think more than anything else, I'm just looking forward to seeing a battle at the front, because last time out we did see a very large gap, and this time out, we are going to have a meaningful fight at the top. It looks like we've got 3 viable candidates. Even with Goat Lonzo's retirement, we are going to see 3 very strong, viable candidates who are going to be fighting it out at the top steps. But we're going to jump back trackside, and we have a bit of a surprise that's not really a surprise if you've heard of foreshadowing. It's raining, and not only raining, but heavily raining. So you can see the cars on track. They all are at least going to be running an inter-tyre. And this is going to be a big strategic shake-up for everyone here.
This is going to be pure action. This is going to be amazing to watch, and I think we're going to be in for a very exciting race as well. Definitely, it'll be interesting to see who's got the wet setup on compared to maybe the dry as well. Will, of course, we had some hints in qualifying. We're about to find out in the race as the 5 red lights come on.
5 red lights. Track is hot here in Spa, although you wouldn't know it from all the rain. It's go time, and it is going to be immediately a rush getaway from both Nathan Richards and Bart Del Castillo. Del Castillo getting a bit of a better run, but immediately there's drama further down in the field as there is going to be contact. That is going to be Johnny's Bananas losing his front wing, going into the back of Shaniac, it looks like. VSC, after 1 corner, has already been called to clear the debris.
It was a great getaway by Goat Alonso, but he just had nowhere to go other than the wheel tracks as Bart was able to hold on there. And then Nathan Richards, of course, able to hold on to the lead. So this is going to be now an interesting restart to the virtual safety car. But yeah, Shaniac and Johnny's Bananas appear to have collided down at that first corner, which is why we have the virtual safety car on the circuit. And it'll be interesting to see when it does come in who's able to get a good reaction time. But Nathan Richards does have a little bit of a gap. That, of course, ebbs and flows in the virtual safety car. So timing it to perfection is going to be crucial, but also not picking up a drive-through penalty is also going to be very, very crucial as well for the drivers, because if you are below the delta, it can impact you, but no drivers are, because we're racing. Once again, no drive to penalties have come, and they all are still very close together, the top 6, all inside 5/10 of each other, so it's looking good as now Kronk has lost a little bit of time, but they're all still pushing on, and Bart will look to try and apply some pressure on Nathan Richards now for the race lead.
Yeah, well, now a couple of other cars are going to try and get in the fray. Rare Ghost is eyeing up the 3rd spot from Goat Lonzo. He's looking a little bit skittish here in the wet. He's not looking all that comfortable. Now, we saw a few drivers struggle in the dry with their setups, looking like they were pushing it a little bit too far to the ragged edge. And this is only going to be exacerbated in wet weather like this. So you have to respect the car. You have to be gentle with it. See, Rare Ghost taking a bit of a better line, coming out of turn 16, heading into Blanchimont. Now, this could be a bit of a drag race, but looking up the front of the field, Nathan Richards has been overtaken by Bart Del Castillo. They are going to be having a little bit of a duel of their own, as now it looks like they are trying to get a getaway. Goat Lonzo is going to be on the defensive as Rare Ghost peaks for a move on the right side, heading into the bus stop chicane, though he has to yield. And Goat Lonzo, in fact, has gone across the chicane and has had to stop on track in order to avoid a collision. So he's going to be jumping in to P5. Kronk and Johnny's Bananas are both headed into the pit, as they seem to have maybe both picked up some damage. I know Johnny's Bananas did, and he is going to be losing a significant amount of time. But as it stands here, drivers are already making a bit of space for themselves. Rare Ghost has got the move he wanted, but now it's going to be a bit of a fight, especially without the likes of DRS, to get back up to the top 2.
It definitely is as well. Rare Ghost right now looking good at this part of the race. Bart looking to just pull away. The gap is 1.4 seconds between the leading 2 right now in this race. But unfortunate for Goat Alonso, he was just far too late on the brakes when he went into the bus stop chicane. Had no other choice there as well, as he was so late on the brakes, trying to just hold his position, and then he just had to cut across the corner, made sure that he didn't hit anyone when he rejoined, so he's lost quite a bit of time with that. So he's going to be on a bit of a recovery drive. We know that he could also be a part of this top 3 scrap right now that is going to go on. Bart, though, doesn't want to be a part of it. He's just looking to pull away. He's already got the gap to 2.2 seconds. So let's see if Rare Ghost is going to be able to try and take 2nd place away from Nathan Richards. It's going to be interesting to see all of that driver skill right now. No DRS, of course, and also ERS management is going to play a crucial part in this race to make sure that you don't burn all of it, because you'll need it if you want to make overtakes here in the wet conditions with no DRS.
Well, the weather is looking horrendous, but I always find it interesting how we never see the extreme wet tyre. And it makes me wonder if it's even viable as a driving option in-game. From what I've heard, it doesn't seem to be all that viable or applicable, because even in the worst weather, and as it's currently read now, according to the game, this is storm weather, it's still Inters running. It is still not an extreme wet in sight. It's all Inters all the way.
Absolutely. So they're all just still making their way through, of course, and Nathan Richards almost into the pit wall there, of course, for some of the other series that take place around this circuit. That was really close for Nathan Richards as he made his way up towards Rouge and Radion, but he was just about able to gather that without getting any damage, and also keeping his car pointing in the right direction. Shaniak is also on the back of this, so he's been able to close in, so it will be exciting to see if he can try and make this a 3-car scrap as well. And Rare Ghost, of course, he's looking to attack, but he will also now need to keep an eye on his mirrors, because Shaniak's going to be there as well.
Yeah, he's going to have to keep his wits about him for sure. He's going to have to both drive, of course, drive consistently, and I think that's the most important part. Don't try and rush, don't try and sort of flurry to get the highest apexes, especially in the wet. Those curbs are just as deadly as they are faster. You cannot take a chance, you cannot get on the throttle while partially on a curb, because it will just send your car round. You have to treat the track with a bit more respect. You have to treat the cars with a bit of a gentler touch when it comes to wet weather running, and you can help this with the setup. You can adjust your tyre pressure, you can adjust your suspension geometry and all the rest of that, but fundamentally driving styles have to adjust when you're in low grip conditions like these.
Yeah, absolutely as well. And I know the game does have a feature where it can red flag if the weather gets too bad. I know we have red flags enabled here on increase, so same for safety cars. So don't be surprised if the weather gets even worse and we see that coming out. The game randomly decides to do that. That is a feature if red flags are enabled. But of course, if we do have a crash, then that could also cause it, like we found out a few rounds back at the Jeddah Corniche circuit.
Yeah, and that red flag did kind of... Well, it upset the flow of a lot of drivers. It was both a hindrance and a help, depending on who you ask. To those backmarkers in the field who had 30, 40 seconds to catch up, this was a blessing. It allowed them to get back up. It allowed them to get on even keel with the rest of the field once again after luck hadn't really gone their way. And for those who were up ahead, who especially were several seconds up ahead, it felt like a reset button. So there's always going to be winners and losers no matter what happens on the track. Red flags, yellow flags. I think the reason we don't really see it in league racing in a wider sense is just because it breaks that flow, and sometimes the conditions to activate a red flag can be a little nebulous. It's not always clear.
Yeah, absolutely. As well, maybe when it's worked on a little bit more, and then we could possibly see a few more leagues using it, but definitely does disrupt the flow there as well. And lap 4 out of 22, so they're all just currently following each other with gaps in between, but we've got yellow flags out, and that's Kronk, who has made a mistake, and he's continued on, though he's had a little spin, he's continued, and Johnny's Bananas will be closing the gap on him to try put some pressure. But other than that, we've got some stable gaps starting to form between all of the different drivers.
You know, both cars, P6 and P7, they're not looking in a great spot because they're 30 seconds almost behind the next driver, which himself, Alonso, is 7 seconds behind after his little mishap in the bus stop chicane. And credit to them for continuing and for continuing to put down that good race, but it is going to be very much an uphill struggle. Short of a safety car coming out, which we can never rule out in this league, rain or shine, a safety car has come out, you can't really begin to fathom making up that time in some instances. It can be mentally taxing for you as a driver.
Definitely can be as well, but at the same time, of course, scoring points is definitely going to be crucial when it comes to the end of the championship. So it is great commitment by all of these drivers to just make sure, even if they're not near anyone else, and of course not Kronk and Johnny's Bananas are near to each other, so they might do battle, but of course they are losing touch from everyone else, but they're still going to score some crucial points that can be crucial come the end of the season, and those are two drivers that are always here, so they're always very consistent and always scoring those good points when other drivers are dipping in, dipping out. But it's great to see more drivers staying here and racing week in, week out, giving us plenty of racing action every week.
Yeah, and I think there's also something to be said for the stakes and the commitment level. One thing that we sort of look at when we're making the choice to retire when it comes to driving, I don't like to make light of, say, numbers and things like that, but by having this amount of drivers on the field, it means that no matter where you finish, you are going to get points. And in some cases, those points can be substantial to your championship run. So it's going to be very much worth it for you to make it to the end of the race, no matter what. And the reason we see retirements in maybe like other leagues where there's a full stack of drivers is because they're not in those points paying positions. So there's much more involvement here, both from the sense of just making it to the finish, but also there's a lot more value to be gained from making it to the end.
Absolutely, definitely a lot more value compared to, let's say, when you have a full grid of 20 and there's someone running miles back of all of the other drivers in 19th, 20th. Of course, at that point, there is kind of really no point continuing on as well, especially if you are a lap down, because you cannot unlap yourself during the safety car, which hopefully that'll be a feature added in the game. But it can mean that your race is ruined. But here, as you mentioned, with less drivers, every position is worth fighting for as well. And Johnny's Bananas and Kronk do have P6 in this race to be squabbling over, even if they're not near anyone else. So there's going to be still plenty of battling for them, and plenty of stuff for them to fight for. Shaniak trying to now get onto the back of Regos. It's stayed around 1 second to 1.5 seconds over the last few laps. We're on lap number 6 of this contest, and we are currently just waiting to see if we're going to get any other changes or any other dramatic twists, as well as we've already talked to you about. Conditions can be challenging here, especially in the wet, so you can easily get a car spinning around into the barrier, and that could be your safety car, that could be a red flag, so it can all change around very, very quickly. So a race that could seem very calm, like it is right now, can all change around in a few seconds.
Yeah, things could very quickly change. All it takes is one misinput or one really good corner for drivers to very quickly make up some time here. So you can see Shaniak, he's on the cusp of 1 second to Rare Ghost, and this is exactly what we mean. A really good sector here from Shaniak could put him within striking distance of Rare Ghost. So we're going to keep an eye on him for the time being.
Yeah, so we're going to keep an eye and see if he's able to close down the gap. This is the closest thing that we've got to a battle right now, the closest gap we've got on this circuit. And you can easily see battles if Rare Ghost has a poor lap, and then you see Shaniak possibly being able to gain a tiny bit, and then when he's close, maybe then he'll use a bit of ERS. He senses the opportunity, and then we could easily get a pass there. But as we mentioned, it's just maintaining right now, and he knows it's a long race. He knows it's a long race. He knows that he doesn't need to rush it, doesn't need to push too much where he possibly could spin out or make a mistake. So he's right now relaxed, just trying to get it through this phase of the race, but he definitely will be pushing even harder to try get this position later on.
Yeah, time will be the great benefactor here to all the drivers. Play it patient and defend, or slowly work your way across those tents in order to eventually make a move for a podium spot or something else. Johnny Bananas is going to get very close to the back of Real Kronk here. So let's see what he does, as they're going to be getting closer. Of course, there's not the DRS to help, but it's going to be still a little bit of slipstream and a little bit of an opportunity here for him.
Definitely is going to be, and he's using plenty of ERS to get onto the back for most of the straight. Deploying it there is Johnny's Bananas, so this is now the closest battle that we've got on the circuit. And as we mentioned, Knights, it was a 4-second gap earlier on. He's made probably a little mistake. Johnny's Bananas has been able to get a few laps together, but now he's almost spun around. He's almost spun around there. So as I say that, he's getting a good few laps together. Makes a little mistake there, does Johnny's Bananas, and it's going to lead into a few more. So he's got to try now get back into the swing of things and get back into the momentum. So that's how quickly it can change around. You could have a mistake by Kronk, and Johnny's Bananas could be on the back, and then you could get a mistake by Johnny's Bananas. So it ebbs and flows in these conditions. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see between these two drivers, how it plays out all the way till the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and we jump a bit further ahead as well. We can see Shaniak is slowly reeling in Rare Ghost. This is what we were talking about regarding that, just sort of a little tenth every time. A little bit of an improvement. You can start to push. You can start to get that time back as of when you need it. So Shaniak is going to be the driver to watch. Of course, Johnny's Bananas did get very close, and to his credit, has seemingly drawn down the time very quickly once again. But that consistency is just not helping him here. He got so close to a potential move, and then he lost the rear, he slipped. In fact, he went a bit too deep there into the bus stop chicane. As you can see, he's in a rush. He very much is in a rush to try and catch back up, and that's actually compromising him, I think, more than helping him. Yeah,
definitely. Sometimes it's just better to try get into a bit of a rhythm slowly and calmly, and then you'll get faster and faster. Although if you try to do it too quickly, that will lead to a mistake at Pouon, then a mistake further on the lap at Blanchimon, and it can continue all the way throughout the lap as well. So if you do make a little mistake, then it's just best, as Knights has made a mistake, and it's a major mistake. He has spun around, and he has also retired, and he's done that through the menu system, so we won't get any safety car for that.
Yeah, and yeah, there you go. That is going to be him just out of it. I'm not sure what happened. His car looks to be in one piece, and then simultaneously you got Johnny's Bananas, who's going to be getting a time penalty. But when he's 32 seconds behind, I don't feel like that's really consequential in a meaningful way. But Kronk is out of it. He's done. He's quit out. and maybe there was a technical issue or something else involved there, but unfortunately he's not going to be making it to the end of the race. Only a local yellow coming out, as you said, because the car is still in one piece, there's no debris, and it is controlled.
Absolutely. So that is that battle done. Now it's going to be Shaniak and Virgo still the closest one on this circuit, and we're still in a waiting phase for those two to go side by side. We haven't talked about the top two for a while, and also Goat Alonso. He just right now currently alone is Goat Alonso in his own little world right now, just waiting for a safety car, waiting for an opportunity. Same can be said about Bart. He's got an 8-second advantage over Nathan Richards, so Bart doing very, very well at this stage to try increase the gap. And then Nathan Richards has a 4.4 seconds gap as well, so they're all just trying to get through this first phase of this race right now. And then Shaniak and Regos following each other closely, as of course you've already learnt with how much we've mentioned. It's a lot of it's definitely the closest battle right now, and it's a battle that we're just waiting to see when Shaniak's going to get his opportunities to try and pass, using a little bit of ERS, trying to just get close and close to the back. But he's just got to try do this calmly, not push it too much, because as we mentioned, it can lead to a mistake. If you do try to push it a little bit too much, can lead to a mistake, and you could go from being 1 second behind all the way to 5-6, depending on how big the mistake is.
Yep, and that's the crux of it, really. It's that you can very easily close the gap. You can push, you can get better lines, you can maybe manage your tyre wear a little bit better than the rest of the field, but if you're going to make a mistake, then all that work will very easily be undone. So the key to being fast is not necessarily being outright rapid moment to moment. It's about the consistency. It's about being able to put down, if we look at some of the lap times here, it's about being able to put down, let's say, those 157s, lap in, lap out consistently, rather than maybe being able to get a 56, but making blunders and making mistakes quite often in between that. Because that's going to be what costs you more time and hits your confidence. If you're not confident in the car, then you might as well not be driving. That's the fundamental of it. You need to trust in the car, especially when the roads are like this.
Yep, especially when it's wet, especially when you're at such a challenging venue as well. Definitely, the drivers are all going to be waiting for their opportunity to come in later on in this one. But Shaniak now getting the gap back down to 9/10 of a second. Really risk and reward stuff as well. If you are in the last few laps, you might want to risk. You've got an 18-second gap behind. If you do have a little spin, you can quickly recover from it. So later on in the race, right near the end, you can try and do that, take that risk to try get a podium position. But right now, just not really worth it at this stage because you're able to follow closely, and then it can all change around when the drivers do make their pit stops.
Yeah, the pit stops are going to be potentially coming soon, but remember, under wet conditions, you don't have a 2 compound rule, so it's only the inters, really. We said earlier about not having the extreme wet. If they wanted, they could take a single set to the end, although I don't think that is physically possible, or at least certainly not from what I've seen. It is potentially an option if you want to go down that route.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity. And if you have nothing to lose, then you may go for that option. And then you usually get drivers who try and who will make a pit stop, then just push on. And even if you do try to stick it out there, it can lose you a lot of time. So so whoever does pit, they'll just be able to push onto the back of you and try and pass as well. So we are on lap number 11. But yeah, as you mentioned, the drivers don't need to really make up. It's whatever they want. They can just continue this one all the way till the end. But it, of course, does depend on the tyre wear and depends on if they're literally physically able to do it, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and we're going to be coming up to the halfway mark. We have got a little bit of a word from the from the driver who ended up quitting out, and that's going to be Kronk. Apparently, he did not expect the race to be wet, so he picked an aggressive dry setup, and that made him really struggle for control throughout the race, till eventually he peeled out coming up to the Camel Straight, and then unfortunately that's sort of what did him in and made him decide that he wasn't going to continue with the race. And honestly, that's understandable. If you're fighting the car to that extent, and aggressive dry setup is speak for, it was almost uncontrollable. Like, that's sort of code right there. And honestly, it's fair enough. I understand it.
Yep, absolutely. As well, because it is a long race, there are plenty of laps to do in this one, and especially not enjoying the car at all when you're making your way through the corners. So definitely understandable there for him. Hopefully we'll see Kronk fighting back in the next race in a fortnight's time at Monaco. So that's going to be hopefully an exciting race. I think it's going to be a chaotic race, that is for sure. We're going to get plenty of chaos, could get red flags, could get safety cars in that one. So it'll be interesting to see who is going to be able to take victory in that one. And Nathan Richards has gone off the road.
Oh, big mistake coming out from him at the bus stop. He's going to be able to get it back on the road, but not without great difficulties. Rare Ghost and Shaniac are both heading into the pits, assumedly for a fresh set of inters. But now Bart is 16 seconds ahead, and he is going to have quite the run on his opponents there. Looking at some of the data that I can scrape, it's seeming like inters at this point are about 40 to 45% wear. So they have hit that apex point of being peak grip. They're starting to fall away now, and while theoretically you could take them to the end, they would all be punctured, so you're going to have to take a stop. Goat Lonzo is going to inherit a couple of positions by nature of being out, although saying that, it was a little bit of a rush to get out the pit lane. Now Red Ghost and Shaniac have come out just behind. I think we're going to see a little bit of battling coming up.
We're going to get a lot of battling indeed. Goat Lonzo makes his way up the hill to a Rouge, and Radio now Red Ghost is going to go on the grass, and they've collided. They've collided, and Goat Lonzo has gone up the road. The safety car is out.
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
Don't agree with that approach there, honestly.
Yeah, really aggressive stuff there. And Goat Lonzo continues on. Front wing damage there, but safety car is out.
Yeah, so he's going to be making it through. But yeah, that is not something that we should really have seen, because that was ultimately that was sort of, I think, too far to the inside, and I think it was on both parties. Keep in mind, I'm not a steward, but you can see from that Golonzo has quit out of the session. He's not having it. He's not having it. Safety car full core has been called. I know that Bart is going to be absolutely fuming after the 22-second gap he's opened is going to be effectively diminished, though he is going to use the opportunity to go for fresh tyres. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the rationale is for that overtake there. That did look extremely risky.
Definitely as well then. So let's see them how they're all going to be able to now do after the safety car. So Bart, as you mentioned, absolutely wiping the floor with the field, but now having to, another gap will come down. They'll both get a free pit stop. Nathan Richards in as well, so they're both diving it into the pit lane, and we'll continue on basically with nose to tail. And Nathan Richards, after a little mistake, will have another go at it to try and stick with his rival.
You know, Rare Ghost is going to be coming into the pits as well under the safety car. Oh no! No, he's not! So he's gone... He's obviously made the move. And now he's not going in to replace his wing? Apparently he's in the Discord right now.
Yeah, he's in the Discord.
So he's apparently gone under AI control. But that, of course, means that he's not got in to pit. He's not gone in to replace his wing and to get fresh inters. I don't understand the rationale there, because he's kind of messed himself up in a big way, strategy-wise.
Absolutely as well then. So let's see how they all are going to get on. But Rare Ghost with a damaged front wing, talking in the Discord chats, and now is going to have to, well, come back and dive in to the pit lane hopefully this lap while the safety car is out there. The top two have caught the back of the safety car, and Johnny's Bananas is onto the side of the hard copper tires. So he's going to gamble now. The rain starting to fade away. The circuit is still very, very wet. The hards are gonna be very hard to fire them up and get some temperature into them. The rain though is stopping, and he's gonna gamble. He has nothing to lose right now with the pace that he's shown earlier on in the Inter. So he's gonna try and gamble in this race, and hopefully he'll be hoping it works out.
Yeah, there's a bit of a strategic shake-up here happening, coming out of the safety car. Big takeaways for me are that, obviously, coming on to the slick tyres, it's certainly a choice. I can't say that I would do the same in this situation, especially not onto the hards. If you're going to go onto a slick tyre, and there you go. Unfortunate for him there. He's gone into the wall, he's lost a wheel, and he's going to be out of it. So that safety car is going to be out for at least another lap now. Real unfortunate for him there. I think it was too early. I am seeing projected overcast weather, as in stop raining, but not to the extent where at this stage of the race you go onto slicks. I just don't see it. So we're going to see finally
I think
Red Ghost going in, although Bart is also going onto the soft tyres.
yeah. Just as you say that, I think all the drivers are about to prove you wrong with that one. Looks like, by the looks of it, they're all diving in. Nathan Richards has gone on the mediums. Bart has gone on to the softs.
Well, I guess we'll see and find out. 'Cause although the rain has stopped, it's still going to be fairly wet on circuit. Oh, big slide from Bart there. And Bart's lost a wheel. He hit the wall. He's out as well. The slick tyres seem like a terrible omen right now. After seeing that from Johnny's Bananas, I don't know why I went onto the slick tyres. Seems like a not a very good idea. And yes, the rain is stopped, but the track is not dry. It's not to the point yet.
Yeah, I remember on last year's game I commentated a race as well. It was with full grid, and everyone decided to pit too early around this circuit, and it caused absolute chaos. But Bart on the soft cover of the tyre just hit the wall, and that is ripped his tyre off, and that is him out of the race. A race which he probably would have won with the pace that he's shown, at least in the wet. Maybe in the dry it could have been another story. But now Nathan Richards is going to be on the set of the medium compound off tyres. He's going to now get onto the back of the safety car. He's going to now try and keep himself in this contest and keep himself from spinning. But we've got 3 drivers remaining in this one now.
Yeah, and you can already see, just as everyone comes up to the safety car, sliding around is going to be one of his biggest challenges. And just behind the safety car, it's happening big time. He's sliding left, sliding right. It's going to be a very difficult next couple of laps until such a point as a dry line forms. Safety car is in this lap, so this is where we're going to see, is this slick strategy going to pay off? He's onto the mediums because he hasn't got a set of fresh softs. He's used all 3 sets of C4s from qualifying, and he's going to have to battle with those slick tyres until such a time as where the track is more accommodating to him. But here we go. He's going to be behind Shaniak. Shaniak controls the pace. Couple of laps older Inters, but more than enough life to make it to the end.
Yep, and we are about to go racing once again with Shaniak backing the field up. And your leader now, he is going to decide to put foot to the floor and take us back. And Rare Ghost is going to be applying the pressure on Nathan Richards, who's just going to try and keep this one in a straight line. He'll start coming to him as the circuit gets drier and drier. But at this stage, it's just a race of survival for him right now in these first few laps. Rare Ghost is going to be able to get through, but he just needs to try and survive and get this one through this wet phase. But then when it becomes dry, he'll start coming to him. But can the others pull a bit of a gap to make a pit stop and still be ahead, as Rare Ghost is now going to look to the outside to try and make a move?
Yeah, but he yields. He goes out of it. I think a little bit Groundhog Day. He was seeing where it could have potentially gone a little bit more dicey, as happened prior. And he doesn't go for it. He yields from the move. And Nathan is, in fact, going to get a little bit of a gap on Rare Ghost here, as he seems to be struggling a little bit for car control.
Yeah, absolutely. As well then, so they're all still pushing on and making their way through as well. Another thing I've noticed is that the AI is on 110, so possibly a few drivers may have been abusing that. We hope that is not the case and that will be sorted out for next weak, and Rare Ghost now on the back and should be able to try and make a move then. He's remaining onto the back to this part of the lap. He's getting held up, and Shaniak's going to be enjoying this. Nathan Richards has picked up a penalty. Rare Ghost getting held up, and Shaniak just continuing to try pull away. He's going to try get as much of a gap he can, so then he can try pit, and he's not going to be too far behind. And maybe if Nathan Richards loses so much time, he could even be ahead. Depends though how much time Nathan Richards is going to lose.
Yep, so now is going to be next couple of laps and a bit of a struggle for a couple of drivers in particular. It's going to be a struggle for Rare Ghost because he's going to try and get around, but also do so in such a clean way. And a struggle for Nathan Richards. Shaniak has got about 2.5 seconds, so he's managed to make quite the getaway here and really kind of leave Nathan Richards in the dust. So the medium pick so far not serving him, but time will tell. The track is still drying up, and I think we're going to see that inversion point very soon of where the mediums do finally become viable. We're already seeing him put a little bit more confidence into that car. Spray is no longer being kicked up. Now it's going to be just a matter of time. Rare Ghost already falling behind a little bit, but he's got that 3-second time penalty to contend with as well. That is the other element. It's going to be a tough battle. I'm very curious that there is a little bit of internal discussion going on in the background regarding this AI thing. It's going to be certainly a heated point of discussion in regards to the use of AI in terms of driving the cars. But at least as it stands, we've got 3 drivers out on circuit. Nathan Richards finally in the grip zone for the medium, so he's going to try and claw back the gap to Shaniak, and could potentially, crucially in fact here, he's going to also have to make up 3 seconds if he wants to win. 6 laps to do it. Let's see what happens.
Yep, let's see what happens indeed then. And Nathan Richards now about to push on. Of course, it was always going to come. This race was always going to come to him when he put onto the mediums. It was all about, the main thing was just keep it in a straight line, keep it going, and not spin or not have a mistake. He's been able to do exactly that. So great stuff by Nathan Richards there. He's got a 1.5 seconds gap. He'll start closing it in, because with every meter that he runs, it's the circuit coming more towards him as well. And Shaniak knows that this is the crossover point. He's going to dive it into the pit lane. Nathan Richards won't have to make the move on the circuit. Rare Ghost will continue on in this one then. But Nathan Richards now will be sitting fastest lap after fastest lap as the circuit improves, and he'll just be getting this home now to victory in the remaining laps. Let's see though if he's going to be able to keep it out of the wall. It was the pit wall last time, but he said it. But this time he should be finishing it on the circuit. But let's hope he is able to finish this race.
Yeah, well, now I have to hold up my hands up and admit I was wrong about the slick choice, because it really seems to have paid off in these last 5 laps alone. DRS is now enabled. Rare Ghost is looking a little bit like a sitting duck, as Shaniak has now come on onto a set of mediums and is going to be looking to regain his time. I'll hold my hands up and say I was wrong on the pick. The strategy, I wasn't seeing it at the time, and coming off of 2 DNFs from Del Castillo and Johnny's Bananas, I honestly thought it was too early, but it seems like patience is a virtue, and that patience, in the case of Richards, has been rewarded. So he's now already 5 seconds clear of Rare Ghost, and that gap seems to only be increasing. That 3-second penalty is going to be negated in no time.
Yeah, absolutely, but it definitely was a 50-50, so you could have easily been correct if Nathan Richards would have just easily got on the power a bit too early and just spun the car out. So it really was a 50-50, but great driving skill by Nathan Richards there to just keep it in a straight line. But he said he had a game bug, so that may have been why he also retired there as well. When he hit the wall, the game may have just ripped out his tire when he hit it slightly, I think, or something else may have happened. We'll have to look at that one back. We are about to go on to the 18th lap though, with a 6.4 second advantage for Nathan Richards, and Rare Ghost continuing on the intermediate, so he is not diving it into the pit lane. He's just he might try just to take this one to the end.
Yeah, I don't understand the kind of strategy and the rationale coming from Rare Ghost right now. He's recharging his ERS on inters instead of going into the pits. I'm not really sure what the play is from him right now, because he seems to be just leaving himself out to dry. The only sort of explanation that I can think here is he's trying to take those inters to the end, otherwise he's going to be confirmed P3. But he's going to be chewing those inters up. They are not designed for this dry weather running. They're designed to be cooled by the wet weather, by the water that it's displacing, because those compounds are softer than even the softest slick.
Yeah, absolutely as well. So it's not good to be running those right out on the circuit at all, and they will be getting worse and worse, basically, with every meter that he runs on this circuit. So Rare Ghost may decide to just back out of it at this point, knows that Shaniak's going to be gaining a lot of time. So let's see what he's going to decide to do at the end of this lap. But we're just currently waiting to get to the end. It seems like these will be Nathan Richards is confirmed right now at the front of the field, unless something does go wrong at the end. Second and third, though, it does depend on what Rare Ghost decides to do. And Shaniak, though, will just continue gaining and will be able to get past if Rare Ghost does continue on.
Yeah, and Rare Ghost so far is looking like he's going to be conceding a P3 with the current timings and the current time loss per lap. It looks like he's going to be conceding by lap 21, to be honest with you, because those inters are only going to degrade even further. So now, Nathan Richards, he's got the fastest lap. He's got lead of the race. He's 12 seconds clear, 9 seconds after penalties, and he just needs to bring it home. No pit lane shenanigans this time. Just bring it home. Although Shaniak has just set the fastest lap on his own right. He's gone 45.7. Very impressive. We're seeing a real sort of turn of pace that I didn't quite expect. It's a second and a bit faster than Nathan Richards here.
Absolutely. He might be getting a little advantage that he's a bit more further back as well. But definitely, that is absolutely incredible stuff by Shaniak. And he is definitely doing really, really well. And Nathan Richards does have a bit more than to fight for as well at the end of this and trying to get the fast lap of the race. Shaniak does have a little bit fresher tyres as well. So a few little advantages there, but that's definitely great pace being shown by him. And he's about to move up to second place very, very soon, getting onto the back of Rare Ghost. He will be who has the intermediate compound of tyres. And this is going to be very interesting to see then of if Nathan Richards is going to be able to take the fastest lap away in what has been a dramatic race. It was a really chaotic start, then was calm, then we of course got the safety car out with a bit of aggressive driving taking place. Then it all started happening. We had Johnny's Bananas who retired, Bart retired, they put on slicks. Nathan Richards made it work though, and then on the safety car restart just kept it going. Crucially, as we mentioned, kept it going in a straight line. Not losing the car, running at a decent pace as well, running at his best that he could, and then the circuit started coming towards him, and it was all easy from there for him. Shaniak dived it into the pit lane at the right time, and he's about to get his reward. He's going to be diving past Rare Ghost, who is actually just going to pit, maybe in an attempt also to fight for the fastest lap at the end of this one.
Yeah, and maybe he could be joining in that fight. Depends if he goes on to a set of softs or not. We're going to jump on board with him in the pit lane, see what his strategy is. Coming in now, it is going to be a set of softs, in fact. So he's going to go for a last lap shootout, I think. See, maybe, if nothing else, he can pip the fastest lap, do a little bit of damage control, take it away from Nathan, who is currently set to gain some massive points through this round.
Oh, and Rare Ghost is into the wall on the pit lane exit. We saw that in 2023 in Formula 2 in real life when it was a bit wet down there. And it is a bit wet, but he's just gone straight on, and that's another return. I mean, we have 2 drivers remaining now in this one.
Only 2 drivers remaining. 7 starters, 2 finishers. Interesting stuff. And then you got 18 seconds split in the 2. What happened to Rare Ghost? Did he just not steer?
It honestly seemed like that way, or his controller disconnected or something happened, at least to him as well there. But yeah, we'd usually expect this from Monaco or another circuit, but it seems like this is going to be the race that we're going to get 2 finishes, and we do have a few more laps for that to drop as well. But Shaniak and Nathan Richards don't need to push it too well. They could just try to get the fastest lap of each other. Shaniak still continuing on, so is Nathan Richards, so they could push a little bit for that, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be dropping out at all unless they do make a mistake on their own. Penultimate lap of the race for Nathan Richards, but yeah, Rare Ghost is not going to be a threat for that fastest lap.
Yep, and now this begs a question. This begs a couple of different questions. And of course, there is ongoing tensions in the background in regards to sort of use of the AI in game. But you've got two drivers. They're on fairly even keel. Shaniak, though, is gaining massive amounts of time. As much as 2 seconds a lap, I'm noticing here. He was on 18-second deficit, and now he's only 16.3. So whatever he's doing, whatever driving pace he's unlocked here, or however he's achieving it, it's working. Although it's not going to be enough by this rate, at least from my calculations, to really make any meaningful dent against Richards' lead.
Absolutely. Lap 21 then, and let's see if we are going to see any more fast laps being traded at the end of this one. Rare Ghost is typing in the Discord, so we'll see what he says about that, and that could explain if there was anything that specifically happened to him when he exited the pit lane, because not only is that the chance of getting a faster lap gone, it's basically third position gone and points gone completely. But do remember, the drivers do retire, then that is points gone.
Yeah, they're not going to get those points, and that, especially as we're in the halfway point of the season now, is going to be a major impact on their championship drives. Let's see what we have to do in terms of championships. In fact, have you got the standings there? Because this could mean that Nathan Richards, provided he finishes, he could get into a podium spot.
Yep, let's take a look there as well. I'll probably need to take a quick look at the point system first, try find that. So Nathan Richards with 13 points right now, so he's going to be gaining quite a lot with that one. And currently Rare Ghost, who sits in third, has got 49. But yes, Rare Ghost did say as well that it was his controller just having an absolute mare. So that is probably what has gone on for him there, and it's really unfortunate for him.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens from this point. And now, under 15 seconds, Shaniak is catching up. Potentially could confirm that fastest lap. Remember, Nathan Richards, he's got a really good lap, but it's nothing on Shaniak's current lap right now. 45.7 versus a 47.0. It's looking very much like there is some significant pace that he's unlocked and some significant pace that he's trying to put on display, even in the dying laps. Oh.
Is it raining again?
Looks like still clear skies. Still clear skies here. Actually, no. Rain is coming onto the cars. But it's not going to be effective. It's going to be inconsequential now because Nathan Richards is coming up to the line.
Yep, not going to matter. He's going to be on his way then to take race victory then as he'll make his way into the bus stop chicane.
Let's see now. As he comes through, final chicane now. Nathan Richards across the line. It's going to be rolling through. Very good job from today. And Shaniak putting on a massive performance to close the gap as much as he can, but sadly not enough here to confirm any kind of attack. It's going to be, in the end, only 2 out of 7 cars finishing. So that is going to be where we stand here. Shaniak is going to get driver of the day.
Also, he's going to be disqualified. It's just been confirmed.
So really, we only have one finisher. So Shaniak is going to be, we just got confirmation from the race owner, he is going to be disqualified for using AI the race. That explains the fastest lap as well. That was using Max AI to push himself through the race effectively and try and close the gap. So we only have one finisher tonight in the end, and it is going to be Nathan Richards. So both winner by default, but also that doesn't dismiss or diminish the race that he's had and the race that he's put on. He did put up a good fight all the way through. It is a shame about Bart, because it looked like he was set to dominate prior to him losing control and smashing into the wall, coming out of the pit lane onto the softs. So unfortunate for him there. Same goes with Johnny's Bananas on the hards. He tried to make a similar strategy work, and it didn't quite pan out for him. You got Galonzo and Real Kronk, both unfortunately crashing out, and that is going to leave, along with Rare Ghost crashing out in the pit lane on the exit, reportedly controller issues, and that has been something that's plagued him, but that is where we leave things today, and where we look forward to, folks, it's going to be Monaco, but remember, not next Saturday, the Saturday after. We have a break week. And until that time comes, we are going to say goodbye for tonight. So, any opinions on Monaco before we wrap up?
I think it's going to be really, really chaotic. Drivers are going to have to go for moves that may not be on. So I think we're going to be in for plenty of chaos, but that also means plenty of action.
Yep, and we will see you there, folks. So take care, have a good one, and we will be back on the 20th of April for round 7.